Welcome to another episode, everyone. The LA Crip rapper who made every rapper who came to LA check in. We all have heard about this LA check-in culture where individual celebrities come in and have to check in with well-known individuals, if you will, in Los Angeles, California, in order to protect themselves and not to be wandering around Los Angeles, California and not know what they're doing. They're not supposed to have to pay for this sort of protection. This individual here is known for robbing every LA rapper that came, or every rapper that came to Los Angeles, California. They're talking about Brick Baby of all people, the Crip who robbed every rapper who came to LA. That's the headline. The Crip who robbed every rapper that came to LA. Brick Baby, rolling 60s Crip, damn.
Brick Baby spent 20 years robbing rappers who came to Los Angeles. Chains off necks, Rolexes off wrists, cars taken in broad daylight. So many that touring artists started calling ahead before they landed just to make sure they were clear with them. And he never hid a second of it. He sat on podcast after podcast telling the stories himself on camera.
Cool, on the dead homies. I done had every nigga jury, nigga. On the dead homies, nigga. If I want blood, I can get blood.
Rappers have been killed for far less than what he took. So how do you rob half of rap, name the people you did it to, and live long enough to tell the story? To answer that, we gotta go back to Crenshaw, because Brick Baby didn't invent the rule that made rap afraid of Los Angeles. The city handed it to him. He was born Zaire Mitchell, raised off Crenshaw, and by his teens, he was under the rolling 60s, the biggest Crip set in Los Angeles, and one the feds have spent decades trying to break apart.
I end up getting put on 60.
Okay, you're 14.
Yeah, but I always was affiliated.
That backing is the reason the robberies work. Anybody else takes a chain off a famous rapper and spends the next year looking over his shoulder. Brick did it for 20 years and never had to. And he never had to because he knew something every rapper who came to LA didn't. Who you could talk to, where you could stand, and what happened to people who came through without asking. And underneath those, the one rule that would eventually make him money. Moving safely through a neighborhood is something a man grants you. Somebody has to put their name on you. And the man who can put his name on you can take it off. Every kid on those blocks learned that rule. Two of them built completely different lives out of it. One of them was Nipsey Hussle, who came out of the same set and built one of the most respected careers in the city's history.
When did you realize that Nipsey was like, yo, he's gonna be that guy?
Back then, this is how he carried himself. He always carried himself that way.
Brick has pointed to that shared geography in interviews, and the comparison is worth holding on to because both men were working with the same raw material, same blocks, same affiliations, same access to the same rooms. One of them turned it into real estate, ownership, and a Grammy. The other turned it into a reputation people were afraid of. His family history was already tangled in the life. In a 2015 profile in LA Weekly, he described his mother serving 4 years in prison for dealing cocaine. That detail...
I mean, with all due respect, I did not know that Brick Baby was such a killer in the Los Angeles area who commanded so much respect. This is the first I've heard about it. I mean, whatever, whatever. I mean, he's okay, I guess, but I didn't know he was this super killer. So Nipsey Hussle was an individual who turned his gangster into money, but Brick was so gangstered out that he just continued to be a gangster, and he's robbing everything. I didn't even know Brick Baby was a rapper.
Matters more than most because he would eventually turn it into the title of his own album. By his own account, the street life started early and never really had a competing option. In a 2016 interview with Vice, when he was asked what he came from before music, he answered in 3 words: nothing, robbing. That's his own description of his baseline. And it's the thing that separates his story from most rappers who perform a criminal past. He was telling people what he did while he was still doing it. The thing that expanded his reach beyond Los Angeles was Atlanta. By his telling, he started going out there around 2003 while he was still in the streets at home. Atlanta in that era was the center of gravity for the whole culture. And it was also the home of the Black Mafia family, the drug organization run by Demetrius Big Meech Flannery that had wrapped itself around the city's rap scene.
Okay, so you're staying in Atlanta and you meet Big Meech and BMF.
Yeah.
Brick has said in multiple interviews that he moved through that orbit and came up around figures tied to it, including Blue Da Vinci and Pee Wee Longway. He has claimed he and Longway started the MPA collective together. He has also said he was accepted to Clark Atlanta University, which in his own telling was the moment he had a clean exit available to him.
I've been pissing dirty from 14 to 18. I never pissed one clean. So I end up getting violated. And while I'm there, I get an acceptance letter from Clark Atlanta University.
He didn't take it. Whatever the exact details, the version he tells is a man who had a door out and chose the other one. None of that Atlanta material is documented in a court file. It comes from him, told on camera years later. But it's the foundation of the reputation he built, because Atlanta is where the robbery stories start. The most famous one he tells himself. In interviews with Vlad TV, Brick is described trying to rob Jeezy for a snowman chain during BET weekend, a piece of jewelry that was one of the most recognizable in rap at the time.
We trying to ease our way to Jeezy. We see the snowman. We trying to go do our thing. And I guess we was the only ones thinking we was being sneaky.
There's no police report or contemporary reporting that...
Yeah, this is how people lose their lives. Going to take people's property. I know, I used to rob people myself. It's the worst thing in the world. It's the worst thing I've ever done in my life. People work hard for their stuff. No matter how much money you think this man has, it's his money. No matter, you may say, well, he's not going to feel this loss. I need this more than him. He's a millionaire. He's not going to miss this chain. Well, yeah, he is going to miss that chain. That's his chain. It's not. Don't watch his pockets. Don't worry about what he has. Go get your own money. So the man is there trying to perform, and y'all plotting on snatching his chain. You're not about to put a gun in his face and take it. You're about to snatch it and run and all this old nonsense. Nah, man, that's the worst. This man that worked for his money. Go get your money. Jeez, man. And y'all not robbing no one else. You're not snatching nothing off of Justin Bieber. You ain't doing this to black people. I don't respect it.
Confirms that specific incident. What it confirms is what he wanted people to believe about him and what he was willing to say into a camera. The violence came back around on him. He is described being shot twice, and the second one nearly ended it. By his account, a bullet went through his shoulder and exited through his neck, breaking his jaw and leaving him temporarily paralyzed.
You mentioned you've been shot a few times.
Yeah.
What do you think was like the worst one?
The neck shot. When I got shot in my neck.
You got shot in the neck.
Yeah.
He has told that story publicly more than once, and the physical toll of it is one of the few parts of his early life that he has never softened. So by the end of the 2000s, you have a young man from one of the most powerful sets in Los Angeles, with a working network in Atlanta, a reputation built on taking things from people, and 2 bullet wounds to prove the life was real. To understand why that reputation translated into real fear, you have to understand what Los Angeles actually was for visiting artists. Every major rap city has its politics. LA had a system.
I would say, like, when you come to Los Angeles, you just gotta be real careful. You have to know where you're at, who you're with, and even then, you still can get it. Look at Biggie.
Federal prosecutors would later describe it in detail in court filings, and the term they used for it is the same one the streets used: checking in. The idea is simple, and it's older than any of the people in this story. If you're an artist coming into the city, you reach out to somebody with standing. You let them know you're there. Sometimes you pay. In exchange, you get to move around, do your show, shoot your video, and leave with everything you arrived with. If you skip that step, you're unprotected. And Los Angeles is a small city when it comes to that. There are maybe a dozen hotels visiting artists actually stay in, a handful of clubs they actually go to. The video shoots happen in the same neighborhoods every time. An out-of-town rapper wearing $400,000 around his neck is not hard to find, and everybody who might want to find him already knows where to look.
And when you come out here, you just gotta make sure your street game is on lock. And you gotta make sure all the people that you talked about on those records, you better hope that they don't know that you're in town.
That's why the rule had teeth. It wasn't a suggestion about manners. It was the difference between leaving with your jewelry and leaving without it. According to the criminal
Yeah, but that's everywhere. As we've said before, here on the Inside Story with me, Damian Porter. Please subscribe to the channel if you have not done so. We've made it clear that everywhere you go, you need to check in just to make sure that you're safe and to gain knowledge about where you can and cannot go. It's unfortunate. It should not be this way. You should be able to go anywhere that you want to. But the reality is you cannot. And Los Angeles, California is extremely dangerous. scrap what you've heard here on the internet lately about how LA is some sort of joke and the individuals there are a joke. That's fine. You better not bring your ass out to LA and not know what you're doing. I know that. Thinking that it's a joke. These dudes that went to Calabasas in Hollywood and hung out with Kim Kardashian and then go back out of state and make videos about LA being a joke and it's not that dangerous after all and this and that. No, you were not in the right place. This is not to glorify because it's not a good thing. It's just to convey reality that it is extremely dangerous in Los Angeles, California, and you have to know what you're doing. But when you come out, as far as checking in, you just check with someone who's well known in the area so that they can tell you where to go and where not to go, what to do and what not to do to protect yourself. But that should be free of charge. If they're charging money, if they're telling you that you have to pay in order to perform out there, in order to make videos, music videos, this and that, then that's extortion. That's not checking in. That's not keeping me safe. You're extorting me. And that part I don't agree with because these individuals are not doing it to anyone else. They're not extorting any of these YT celebrities. They're not extorting Kim Kardashian or Tom Cruise or Brad Pitt. So stop extorting our people.
Complaint filed by the FBI in March of 2025, that system had been turned into a business. Prosecutors alleged that a Rollin 60s figure named Eugene Henley, known everywhere as Big U, ran what they called a mafia-like enterprise that monetized access to Los Angeles. And Big U is the piece that makes the whole thing make sense. For years, his public identity was the opposite of a gang boss. He was known as a gang interventionist, a community figure who worked to reduce violence in South LA, and he managed Nipsey Hussle early in Nipsey's career. He appeared in documentaries. He spoke at events. He was, publicly, one of the people trying to fix the neighborhood. Prosecutors allege that underneath that, he was running a criminal organization that taxed the city. The complaint describes out-of-town artists, athletes, and other visitors paying for permission and protection. It cites an incident where the enterprise allegedly collected $100,000 to negotiate a celebrity gambling dispute. It describes a retainer arrangement where people paid on an ongoing basis to avoid being targeted at all.
Me, myself, I check in. And in certain places, I'm going to tell a dude if they check in with me, now I don't think you should go there now.
Yeah.
I mean, he might want to go to the other one.
And the most damning line in the government's description is the mechanism itself. Prosecutors allege the operation given the very danger it was charging people to avoid. Pay and nothing happens to you. Don't pay and something does. That is the machine Brick Baby's reputation lived inside. Whether he ran a crew watching arrivals at the airport, the way the legend has always claimed, has never been documented in any public filing. What the record does establish is that he was known in that world, feared in it, and that his name would eventually appear in federal paperwork about robbery money. Then in 2012, everything paused. That year, he went to jail, and by the account he gave LA Weekly, he served 8 months. When he came home, he told the paper, he decided to start making money legally and put everything into rap. In later interviews, he's described that same period differently, with a longer sentence and a different case attached to it, which is a pattern worth noting. His own timeline shifts depending on which era of interview you're watching. The mixtapes that followed were called Nasty Dealer and Nasty Dealer 2, and the titles tell you he wasn't attempting a clean image. He was converting the reputation directly into product. In 2014, he released the project that defined him, and he named it Son of a Brick Lady, a reference to his mother's cocaine case and the 4 years she served.
Let me think about it. I'm the son of a brick lady. My mama was like the dope queen. She was the real trap queen. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, okay, I named my tape Son of a Brick Lady.
He pulled real features onto it, including Young Thug, Casey Veggies, and Young Scooter, which meant the industry was taking him seriously as an artist and not just as a name people were scared of. Around the same time, he was running with Kid Ink, who he had known since they were young, under the Bat Gang banner, touring the United States and Europe. The music itself told on him too. He put out a record called Trap Out the Uber, and the title alone shows where his head was. He wasn't writing around the life. He was packaging its logistics as content, turning method into a hook. And that's...
Yeah, so he's really a rapper. Brick Baby really out there rapping. But all of this whole notion that he had so many people afraid, I don't know what was going on in his circle, out of circle for that matter. But I've never heard of so many individuals being deathly afraid of Brick Baby. Suge Knight, perhaps, yes. But Brick Baby, no. Now, this is not to say that he's not a real member, that he was not out there doing the stuff. I don't know that man. I don't want any problems. I'm just saying that there's some individuals in Los Angeles, California with some very serious, treacherous reputations. A Monster Cody, let's say. If he's out here snatching chains, he waiting to catch Jeezy to snatch his chain and then do a dash. It's not so much, man. Monster Cody cutting off people's arms and walking around with the arm. Okay, well, that might scare some folks, including me.
The honest read on his catalog. There's no platinum plaque here, no major label deal, no catalog sale, no master's dispute. What the music actually did was convert fear into visibility. The features he pulled were real, the touring was real, but the product being sold underneath all of it was the reputation. The songs were proof of access, not the business itself. He was also positioning himself as a connector. In interviews, he's claimed he was the one who introduced Young Thug to Nipsey Hussle around 2009, back when Thug's sound was new enough that most people didn't know what to do with it.
I introduced Young Thug.
This dude's talking like his reputation is just a Monster Cody type reputation. It's not. In the streets, streets. Maybe on the internet or something, but on the streets, no. Then we all just got word. Not long ago, I covered it here, where they say Brick Baby is inside of the joint in the feds, not coming out of his cell, not programming, and on that down baby, sniffing that Beyonce. And that he has a DP coming, but he refuses to come out of his cell. He won't come out of his cell when there's real members around. So, that's what was put out on him. So this whole narrative here, I don't know.
To Nipsey in 09, I want to say 2009. I want to say that was BET weekend too. That was Thug's first trip down here.
That's his account, unverified. But it's the role he's always claimed for himself. The man who knew everybody in both cities on both sides. For a stretch there was a version of this story where he became a rapper and that was the end of it. That's not what happened, because he never stopped talking about the other life. In May of 2015, LA Weekly profiled him as a South LA rapper with Atlanta connections and 2 mixtapes trying to build a career. Then, in July of 2016, Vice published an interview where he laid out both halves at once. He talked about Brick City Records, the label he was pushing. He talked about being associated with Kid Ink, Young Thug, and Pee Wee Longway. He talked about touring with Chris Brown, and in the same conversation, he described his past as nothing. Robbing. The industry version and the street version sold in the same breath to a national publication. A month before that piece ran, the code itself went mainstream. On June 17, 2016, YG released a song called Don't Come to LA, and the feature list included Brick Baby alongside AD and Sad Boy.
The original features for the Don't Come to LA song, it was me, YG, and Nip on the song. And when he got back in commission, Nip takes a long time to do his verses. And I think the album was due to get turned in, and YG had to turn his album in, so he put AD on the song from Compton, man.
The whole message of that record is the rule stated plainly. Stay out of this city if your politics aren't handled. An unwritten law that visiting artists had whispered about for years was now a track on a major album, with Brick Baby's voice on it. 15 months later, the reputation collided with the LAPD. On September 21st, 2017, police began pursuing a suspect in an armed robbery investigation. The chase started around 1:25 in the afternoon, moving through the west side of the city from the area of Mindanao Way and Lincoln Boulevard toward Panay Way in Marina del Rey. It ended when the vehicle ran out of road and the suspect ran into an apartment building and barricaded himself inside. What followed shut down a stretch of Marina del Rey for the rest of the day. Police surrounded the building. A helicopter circled overhead. Local news carried it live. The suspect stayed inside for close to 6 hours and finally surrendered at approximately 7:15 that evening. Local reporting identified the man as Brick Baby.
A local rapper arrested after a tense standoff with officers in Marina Del Rey. But his family says police got the wrong guy.
That case took him off the street for years. In an interview with No Jumper in August of 2021, he described having just come home after 4 years in LA County Jail. And what he did with that freedom is the thing that defines the second half of his story. He went straight back on camera. No Jumper, run by Adam22, had become one of the biggest platforms in rap media, built largely on getting people to say things on the record that they probably shouldn't. Brick became one of its most reliable voices. He sat for interview.
Rap media, that's not rap media. No Jumper. I guess it started off as a hip-hop platform, people were saying, but it is no longer that. Okay, man, that's enough. We get the picture, man. Brick Baby, they saying that's the Crip. He's a rapper. Who knew? Apparently a semi-successful rapper or whatever. Is he a rapper or is he a killer? According to this man, this narration, he's a killer that everyone is afraid of. As we know, Brick Baby is locked up right now in the feds. Perhaps he's about to get to that. Exactly what he's locked up for now. We see that he went to jail in the feds before in 2017. Did county jail, what have you. Got out after 4 years and went straight into podcasting there on No Jumper. Stayed there on No Jumper in his own podcast and whatever else until he got caught up in a situation that he is caught up in now and doing time in the feds. Soon to be going to the federal prison system to do time right now. I guess he's in some still holding facility. Let me know what you think in the comments. Brick Baby, they say that he's on the internet himself doing a lot of podcasts, interviews, and admitting to some of the stuff that you heard him say he's touched everyone's jury and all of this. And we see that he's plotting. Well, we know the last time that, or one of the last times, because it happens every day, that the individual plotted. Young Jeezy sent the individual to Gucci Mane to take his chain, and the individual ended up dead. You have to be careful out here snatching people's property, robbing people for their property. They worked hard for it. They don't want to give it up. Go get your own money and don't come to LA. Why you got to check in? You check in just to be safe, just so you know what you're doing if you don't know what you're doing and where you're going, because it's dangerous. But that's it. That's as far as it should go. That's as far as it's going to go. Don't give anyone any damn thing to walk. You don't have to pay to walk around. Who are these people? You don't have to pay anybody to walk around. Won't all of you people gather yourselves up, all of you killers in LA, and take your asses to Mississippi, where you're needed. Stop abusing and robbing and thieving from your own people when they come to Los Angeles, California, and take y'all tough asses out to Mississippi, where we are desperately needed because our people are there in dire straits. Let's try that. Stay safe and stay free, people.